Hey, is this thing on? Lance, Nick, ready? Can you hear me? Welcome to the Live Free and Hunt podcast.
What is up, everyone? We just want to thank you for all the positive feedback we've been getting from this podcast. If you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or even Podbean and YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. That would help us out a lot. Follow us along on Instagram and Facebook, and check out what we got going on. We're going to have some good media this year, and we just appreciate all the support from you all. Thanks again, everyone.
Oh, yeah, you heard that. Welcome back. Live Free and Hunt podcast, episode number 9. We got Brett Joy and Chris Dame. We just got off the phone with them. It was an excellent podcast, lots of info. We talked turkeys. We talked filming. We talked strategy. It was an awesome podcast. It was short notice for those guys, so greatly appreciated. We're going to get to it. What do you say, Lance?
Yeah,
let's get to
let's
it.
Hit it.
You're like a bad deck of cards that loves to lose. You don't listen to me, and I don't want you to, 'cause we sure have fun throwing my money away. You bet high, I bet low. You're all in and I'm all broke. Another paycheck down the drain.
So you want to start off with, I don't know who wants to go first. Whoever wants to go first, just a little story about, or whatever, about how you guys grew up hunting and what made you, get fired up about it.
You first, Brett.
Okay. You're rolling and everything?
Yeah, we're good. We're ready to go.
We all good.
Yeah. My story is a little unique compared to, I guess, a lot of guys. I didn't grow up in a hunting family. So my dad liked to be outdoors. He grew up in the city, but moved to New Hampshire right about the time I was born. He always liked to be outside, but, wasn't super into it because he didn't have much opportunity down where he lived. But he got into fishing pretty big into fly fishing. So he always took me outside. So he definitely introduced me to the outdoors, but he really didn't introduce me to hunting. That's something that I kind of wanted to do on my own.
Right.
Just being outside and seeing animals. I always would get up like Sunday mornings and watch hunting shows on ESPN at like 6 a.m. So that's kind of my introduction. So I kind of just taught myself. He did his best to teach me, but obviously he didn't really know much about it. So everything that I've learned has been kind of on my own for the most part. Obviously, I've had people help me here and there, but as I've progressed. But it's been an interesting for me because I've kind of made it hunting what I want it to be for me, rather than like growing up in a family where it's like, this is what hunting is, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Right.
So everything that I've done and like the direction I've went has been kind of just exactly what I want to do. So that's kind of nice too. It's awesome to have that tradition and grow up in a hunting family.
Yeah, but you had a clean
It's just been a
slate.
little different. Yeah, so I've just had a little different perspective on it, which is interesting. So
That's cool.
Yep. I think
That's awesome.
got into deer and turkey, and those are my two biggest things still. And
What's your dad bring you up on the most? Was it mainly Was he a mainly poultry hunter? I call it, as waterfowl.
no, he didn't hunt at all, and he still doesn't hunt.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a fly fisherman. That's what he really likes to do. He would take me out, but he took hunter safety with me, but had no real interest in hunting. He'd go out with me and take me when I was too young to hunt alone. Of course, we're extremely unsuccessful, but that's how it goes. But when I was able to hunt on my own with some other friends, I got into it more. But yeah, I think it was turkeys first, and then deer shortly thereafter. But for many, many years, I was unsuccessful because I was just kind of like a teenager trying to do it on my own for the most
Right.
part and figure it out.
I think we all been there.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you
But,
got?
yeah.
What'd you start off at?
Just to go back to what you said, you guys remember watching Tom Miranda? That was on SportsCenter, wasn't it?
Your audio's a little. Hold on one second. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're perfect. Go ahead.
To go back to what he was saying, he said he watched hunting shows on SportsCenter. You guys remember Tom Miranda?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up watching those too. That's funny. So I grew up hunting with my grandfather. He's like your average like mountain man. You know, he's got his like green little wool cap on with his tree feather hanging off the back.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
wearing, you know, and he's got the wool jacket on, the checkered jacket.
Perfect. Yeah.
I think I was about 9 years old when I started hunting with him, and didn't kill anything. It was awful.
Just being in the woods, though. Yeah.
Somehow, you know, I obviously I found the love for hunting and I just kept doing it. And as I got older and I turned 16 and I got license and then kind of just started teaching myself how to hunt. And I'm gonna be honest, the biggest thing was the internet. You know,
Oh,
you
yeah, 100%.
start Googling like, all right, how to hunt, right? And then like 3 more things come up, and then you got like 3 more questions, and it just adds up. And watched a lot of shows, but yeah, pretty much got everything from the internet. He didn't really teach me anything that was valuable, to be honest.
Yeah.
Gun safety, he did teach me gun safety. I can always remember him telling me, he would always say, like, if you see a buck or if you see a doe, like, there's going to be a buck behind it.
Yeah,
So,
I remember that.
You know, like, there's
Never
going to be a
happened.
buck behind her. But, I mean, obviously that's only during the rut. Like,
Right. Yeah.
Right.
you know, I guess that was the time we were hunting anyways, you know, during firearms season.
Yeah.
So I guess that would still make sense, but
Perfect.
yeah.
Did he grow up hunting spots where, you know, my grandfather, it sounds just like yours, it sounds like, and my grandfather still goes to the same spot. He grew up hunting, and there ain't nothing there. He probably gets maybe 5-6 trail cam pictures, a couple good bucks on it, but maybe gets a picture once a month on it, but still hunts that spot every year. Was he like that? Would go to the same spot every time, even though it's a deer or not?
So he pretty much hunts his buddy's property. He's always been hunting it. He just goes and walks around in the woods, just
Yeah, just loves
Fuck
it.
it. Let's
That's
go.
Doesn't
so. Hey, he doesn't believe in all that technology, you know. So
Oh, yeah.
he just goes out with his 30-06 and goes at it.
See what
Nothing
happens.
wrong with that.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. So you
Yeah.
guys are both from New Hampshire, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And you guys are now in Ohio?
Yes.
We are right now, yeah.
What?
Wait, so
yeah. So
I know, Brett, you live in New Hampshire, correct?
Yep.
And you're currently living in, I don't know if this matters to really anyone where you guys live, but
Yeah, I live in southern New Hampshire.
okay.
southern New
Yep.
Hampshire.
Yep.
And Chris, where do you live?
So I actually live in Boston right now. I work in the city, but I plan to move back.
Yeah, I
Back.
remember you were saying that to me.
Yeah, I grew up in Laconia.
Yeah, both you guys did, correct?
No.
No? Oh, no.
I grew
Okay.
up in Milford.
Milford, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so we both grew up in Milton, over on the east side of the state.
Okay.
I don't know if you
Good.
guys know where that is.
You said
Yeah.
I honestly,
Is it
Milton, New Hampshire.
is it Rochester or
It's
right
north
right
of
above
yeah.
Rochester. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
oh, okay.
Sure.
What brings you boys to Ohio this weekend?
Turkeys.
Turkeys.
Yeah, we I've been hunting Ohio for over 10 years, I guess, at this point. Mostly for deer, but recently more for turkeys as well. I came out here when I was 21, I believe, because I wanted to hunt the Midwest, and kind of just called. Actually, it was Ben Rising, who I had seen on Drury Outdoors, and I was like, man, he's killing some big deer out there in Ohio, and it's close drive and over-the-counter tags, and I was like, maybe I should look at that. And I kind of looked him up, and I was following him, and I saw that he had actually started an outfit business. And I was like, well, that's a good place to start. So I called him up, and I don't even know how I heard about his business, but he was like, how do you even know I started this? It's like, we're not even anywhere yet. And so I was one of the first guys.
No shit.
Really?
And another guy, started it, Jared Hawkins, and they've gone separate ways and done different stuff, within the last decade. But Jared has become a good friend of mine. So I come out and hunt a lot of the farms. I've been coming out here for over 10 years. And he loves the turkey hunt, and so do I. So he actually comes to New Hampshire and turkey hunts from here. And I come out and deer and turkey hunt in Ohio. So
That's awesome.
it works out pretty well.
What brought you to Ohio? Like, did someone bring you over there one time and you got into it over there? Or?
No, I had always hunted in the Northeast, and I hunted a little bit, I guess, Maryland, East Coast stuff, and I just wanted to hunt really some bigger deer. Obviously, there's bigger deer in the Midwest, and have some more action than I was having when I was younger. I really didn't have a whole lot of luck in New Hampshire. So, like I said, I just started researching. I was like, where's the closest big buck state to New Hampshire? And Ohio kept coming up, and I just got more and more into it and decided that was the kind of the good direction to head. So then I just dug into Ohio, and like I said, found these guys here. And so I've been coming out here for, like I said, I think 2009 was my first year. So it's been, I guess, 11 years or so. So awesome. It's kind of a nice place. I've been out here so many times at this point. It's almost like second home. I know the whole area well and where to go and what the animals do, and it's kind of
good deal.
Kind of neat. So yeah, we figured we'd get an early start on the season. We're going to do some earlier trips to Kentucky or Tennessee, but obviously everything going on with the virus kind of kept us tight. I was kind of waiting to see, what made sense. And where we come out here, this is in the middle of like the hills. Like there's nothing out here.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
You're
not seeing anybody.
Yeah.
I guess the only exposure we have is like stopping for gas. And we're being really cautious, washing our hands and all that stuff with hand sanitizer.
Right.
So it's really pretty low risk. I work for my day job in essential business, so I'm going to work and contacting 30 people every day.
Yeah.
So there's a way more
I'm the
risk
same way, man. I'm still working, and I'm like,
Yeah.
It's like.
You didn't tell me that.
What?
I am.
Yeah, Chris.
Well, yeah, but everybody
Chris has got the Rona now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we keeping track of it and doing all the things that we should in the business. But the point is that I'm at much more risk there than I am traveling, because obviously I don't want to say it's taboo, but like, you're traveling during this. It's like, well, yeah, I am, but also I'm coming from a rural area. I'm going to a rural area. I'm driving straight through. We're taking the necessary precautions, and the risk is really, really low that anything is going to negative come out of this. So
Right.
we decided we were going to do the same thing down to Tennessee, but kind of held off a little bit because just wasn't sure, what was going on. So
when you guys are jumping around state to state like that, are you just do you have something planned out, or you're just targeting public land, or how's that working out?
we had a good plan earlier in the year, but then of course the virus came, and so everything's been up in the air. And I'd say to an extent it still is, but we have a pretty good plan for the next, I'd say, couple weeks.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that we hunt is public or public access. We do have some places like here we are hunting private. It's a lot of the places we've either hunted in the past or I always try to pick a new area or a new state or whatever every year and kind of scout it and dive in. And when we do that, it's mostly public. So I think next we have New Hampshire youth season.
Yeah.
Or Massachusetts.
Youth
What's
season for Mass
will be
is first.
Okay, so yeah,
Hampshire.
New Hampshire youth, and then Massachusetts, which I've hunted there for a number of years. So that's really not too far from where I live. So
Yep.
that's
Cool.
an easy jump in. And then we're headed to we're actually going to head up to northern New Hampshire and Vermont for the opener for both states, and hunt kind of on the border and be able to hunt both states. Real far up, like near the Canadian border. I just thought that'd be something different.
Yeah, that's something fun, right?
You
there.
know what?
Yeah.
I've always thought about
Jeez.
that, is trying to do that. And the reason being is like the amount of people that probably turkey hunt up there. Those birds probably don't get pressured wicked
No.
hard. You know?
No, there's definitely turkeys are relatively new up there. I mean, I don't want people to be like, oh, they've been there for 20 years, and they have in some areas. But
Yeah, you see them when you go up, but
yeah, I've been going to Pittsburgh, and I've been New Hampshire. My family has a cabin up on Second Connecticut Lake, and we've always went up there to. I actually used to raise sled dogs, so we used to run sled dogs up there. And do a
dang,
little
you're
hunting.
almost an Eskimo, huh?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
is that? I don't know if I can say
Yeah,
that.
I can say that. So I've always went up there, and I've always wanted a turkey hunt, but there was never turkeys when I started going up, but now there is. And so I've kind of been like fantasizing about making a turkey hunting trip up there, but there's so many birds down where I live that it's kind of tough to leave.
Right.
And then finally, with all this virus stuff, I usually have like a turkey camp in my house the first week, so a pile of people come. We kind of canceled it this year because of everything that's going on. I said, well, that's a good opportunity to finally go up and do that. So we actually, Chris and I went up. It was last weekend, right, Chris? I think.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So went up scouting last weekend and found some birds, and yeah, I have no idea what to expect. I mean, we know there's birds there. We saw them.
That's gonna be cool as shit, man. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So we're gonna camp and just see. I don't know what it is. I've found that the further north you go, and I guess the newer the turkey population is to an area, the easier they are to kill.
Right.
I don't want to say they're easy, but it seems like they're less pressured. They don't get called to as much, and they're just not as educated like population of birds. Like turkeys have been down south forever, and so every hard gobbling 2-year-old has been shot for the last 80 years. So like the birds that are making it are the ones that don't talk and the smarter birds. So the dumb ones have kind of been shot out. But I feel like as it kind of creeps north and gets into some new areas, the pressure's low and those birds are still prevalent. So I've found that the further northeast you go,
speaking of,
it can be better hunting. Like we're in Ohio, and like you might think Ohio's awesome for turkey hunting, and there's definitely turkeys here and some big ones, but the Northeast is way easier to turkey hunt than Ohio. I think, Chris, you're a little surprised that we actually were out for a good weekend. But
today was my first day really ever hunting turkeys in Ohio. I've never hunted turkeys. I've hunted deer out here, but it's absolutely different. When I was talking to Jared earlier, he's like, one morning this bird's roosting over here, the next morning he's a mile down there, and from what I'm seeing today, I don't really see the numbers that I see back home.
Is it because of the landscape or just the pure number of birds? Like, what's it look like out there?
It's hilly, and then it's flat, and so they're steep. Very steep. Yeah, very steep hills.
Hardwoods.
We were walking them today, and it was really busting my butt.
This area is like the hills, but it's on the fringe of ag. So you get kind of a good mix of, but it's really good it's actually really good habitat for deer and turkey, but I don't know. I think they've probably had poor poult production years and hatches for a while. It honestly doesn't make sense because, I mean, all the timber is white and red oak.
So they got everything they need,
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And there's a lot of early succession habitat. There's great browse and cover, and I don't know, maybe there's what the thing there is out here, there's a lot of nest predators, so there's a ton of raccoons and
possums, bobcats and shit,
and all that stuff, so that probably takes a toll on them.
Brett even said to me, he said before we even got here, he's like, you got to be on your game because these birds come in and they got their head up and they're looking, they're not stupid, and they're hard to call too. Huh? So yeah, I mean, I saw it this morning. I mean, it was tough this morning. We went out with a youth hunter. But yeah, hopefully tomorrow.
You guys find one roosted?
Yeah. Roosted a few of them. So I'm actually going to head to a different area a little bit further south that I have permission to hunt on a family farm. And Chris is going to film our buddy Jared and his son. And they have 3 roosted in a really good spot, and they've been there. We saw him this morning, and he's seen them the last few days. So I think they should have a pretty good hunt in the morning. So it should be exciting.
Hope so. Now you can hunt all day over there, I'm guessing?
You get the first half of the season, it's till noon, like, in New Hampshire. But the second half, you can hunt all day. Second half of the season.
Jared did say something about youth hunters being able to hunt all day. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah. It's kind of a lot for I think his son's 12 to like hunt.
Yeah, I can barely do it. I make it to 10:30. I'm like, shit, I'm tired. I gotta take a nap.
Yeah.
Wow. How long you guys been like hooked up together? I assume you guys film I've seen some pictures and stuff.
Yep.
So Chris is filming you, and like, how'd that happen?
Do you remember, Chris?
I think I messaged Brett on Instagram and said something beyond the lines of like, hey, I saw you on Midwest Whitetail, and I really liked filming, and then it kind of just took off from there, and he's pretty much taught me everything I know about a camera. I didn't have to go take classes or really research anything. It's all hands-on in the field, and from last year, I remember we were hunting birds in Massachusetts, and he gave me the camera, and I was like, dude, I don't know how to use this thing.
Yeah, dude.
I felt so stupid. But, yeah, I've used the camera since then, and it's crazy, like, how much you just progress. Like, I can go out there right now, and I pretty much know everything about the camera and how to use it. And we've been on some awesome trips. We went to Alberta, so I got to go out there, and we filmed all fall, so I got a lot of experience now. And
Yeah, I have a fair amount of people that contact me and like want to get into filming.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a huge commitment to do it to the level that we do. And so I'm kind of like, okay, you want to get into filming? All right. Sure you do. I'm like, and so I kind of like give some people guidance, and I want to see them motivated and doing it on their own and making an effort before I'm going to like spend a bunch of time trying to teach somebody, because it just, I've just been wasted a lot of time in the past doing that. So when Chris contacted me, he was asking me questions. I was like, let's see what this kid does. Let's see what he wants to do and if he's into it. And he went and he filmed turkeys all spring, last spring.
with my own camera.
With his own camera, his own stuff, and learned a lot. And he gave me the footage to look at, and it was good. And I was like, all right, he's serious about it. He's into it. So I said, okay, well, let's see where this goes. So, he's come a long way, and he's pretty darn good with the camera. He has a really good eye, an artistic eye. Sometimes I tell him the shots are too pretty and just needs to shoot normal stuff to get it.
Yeah,
I gotta get the show on. I want to get that.
I kind of wanted to roll into that just a little bit.
We're dabbling new into. Well, I'm more into photography, and I would say I'm more in photography and filmmaking. Yeah. That's what I probably pretty much will do all season this year with them. It's just film and take pictures.
Yeah. So we're rookies at it, but like, when it comes to B-roll and getting the shot and carrying the shit in the woods, and like people watch something on TV or watch something on YouTube and they're like, oh yeah, like this is a hunting video, but they don't actually know what goes on and what all the footage that you can actually take, and then it just goes away, and then so go into like that filming process, I guess, a little bit.
Do you want me to go grab like the setup so you guys can kind of see like what I'm working with?
Yeah, yeah. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, if you want. How'd you get into it, Brett? Did you take photography and school or anything?
No. So I started, honestly, like the biggest thing, and I learned the most, and I got like into it, is I really liked Drury Outdoors, to be honest with you, when I was a kid.
I watched all of them, even when they had the little competition going on. I
just, honestly, I probably learned more from Mark Drury just watching his stuff than like anything. And so I was kind of motivated to do that through watching their stuff. He's a really good deer hunter and turkey hunter, regardless of where he lives. He does have some of the best farms out in the world for whitetails, but he's technically, and he knows what he's doing regardless of where he's hunting. So I learned a lot from him, and I kind of was able to apply that to the Northeast, which is sometimes a challenge. But I really got into it kind of in college. I started filming my hunts, I guess, just for fun with like a handy cam. Really liked it, and we kind of progressed, and we filmed like a turkey DVD a long time ago with like an old GL2.
Is that thing still around? The DVD?
Yes, I got like a bunch of boxes of them up in my dad's barn.
No shit.
That would be cool.
It's not great, I'll be honest with you. But it was our first stuff, so we did that. And then what else? I mean, we did that for a while, and we're filming, and I kind of was getting into it pretty good, and I was like, I want to do something with this that has a little bigger platform than here. So my buddy Ross Roberge, who I still film with today, he doesn't turkey hunt because of his job. He doesn't have time, but he's big into deer hunting, and we film each other doing that. But we decided we wanted to film for Midwest Whitetail, Bill Winke's show in Iowa. They have a regional show in the Northeast, so we kind of applied to that, and we got in, and we kind of dug into it pretty deep. I went out to Iowa a couple times, and they have like a little film school that they have. They have a summer meeting and like a film school and all that stuff. So I learned a lot from them, actually. That kind of got me to the next level. I had a basic understanding, but they kind of gave me the resources I needed and kind of explained like, here, use these resources to learn. And they gave you like, they had something called a filming Bible, and I learned a lot from that. And then I kind of took off and just have always been, really learning a lot about that. Another person that was really instrumental in me learning is William Altman. He films, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Sick Man or Donnie Vincent stuff. They do some really, really high-end outdoor films. They're probably, honestly, the best in the industry, in my opinion, as far as quality goes, quality productions. But he's just a master with the camera, and he's taught me a lot. I've kind of followed, and he's actually younger than me, but he's been doing that. That's his full-time job. He's a director of photography, so he's kind of like helped me a lot on the technical side, and he's always on top of gear stuff. So he's like kind of trickling the information down to me. So he's kind of my lookout for new gear and new things, and paying attention. So I learned a lot from him as far as the technical side, and then obviously Midwest Whitetail, I learned a lot from those guys as well. We did that for a number of years, and we're pretty successful at it. We're on the TV show and all that stuff, and had some really good hunts. And then kind of decided that we wanted to start to do some of our own stuff. And one of the other guys at Midwest Whitetail, John Lewis, started his own production company. So the past, I'd say 3-4 years, we've been kind of doing that. And we have this is the third year of our turkey series. We did it for Scout Look the first 2 seasons, and this season we're doing it for Mossberg exclusively. And then we just filmed last fall the first season of a deer series, which is based entirely in New England. That's for Real Tree, and that will come out this fall, and I think it's going to be a pretty awesome.
That's awesome. That is incredible.
Yeah. Very quick question: did you have a girlfriend or a wife throughout that whole process?
I'm married now with 2 kids. I guess you can.
So we can make it. We can make it.
If you think back, I mean, I have an awesome wife that's super understanding, and she knew going in that this is what I like to do, and she's great. But and it's not easy either. Like it's not. Don't get me wrong. Like it's not easy to go take off and do whatever you want. I think one of the biggest things, if you want to do all this and you have a full-time job and you have a wife and you have kids and you want to be big in this, you have to really learn how to manage your time. And you have to learn. My biggest thing, I always look at things. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do today? And I look at the priorities that I have, and then I think to myself, okay, if I'm going to do something in the woods, is this getting me closer to where I want to be? Like killing a deer, killing a turkey, filming a show. So like sometimes like for example, shed hunting. I love to shed hunt, but for the most part, looking out
just wandering around
the sheds is not doing me any good. Like I don't have time. I'd love to do it, but I'm like, how is this going to help me kill a deer in the fall? How is this going to help me film a series?
He's got a good point there.
Yeah.
So I really have kind of cut that stuff out, and it's kind of a bummer sometimes. I see guys go out doing stuff. I'm like, I wish I could do this, but I have to kind of stay focused. And the older you get, and the more responsibility you have, that becomes extremely critical. When I was like 20, and oh my God, I can't even. I wasted so much time, and I tell Chris this sometimes. I'm like, man, you ought to be out just like doing this because you have the time. And
right.
I'm like, if I had your time, but it's that's just the kind of the progression you have is you go from a kid to an adult and responsibilities. So you just have to be efficient and learn how to maximize your time and still get the same results. So that's kind of what I work on and strive to do. It's a challenge though.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to come back to the films and stuff and everything. But Chris, why don't you let us know what you got, what you're packing for heat there?
Are you hung up with a girl? You got
that's a good question. Actually, she dumped me on Monday last week. Yeah, unfortunately.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's all good. This is all of Brett's stuff right here. This is what we run when we're filming turkeys. This is a Sony A7S II. I don't know. Do you use a Canon, Lance? Or
I got a Sony 2.
Okay. Do you use the R or the S?
Just the Mark II, just the original one that came out
Gotcha.
with the second one.
So
it was just at a good price. That's all.
A7S2 shoots in 4K, shoots slow-mo at 120. We have an adapter on here with Canon glass. This is a 28 to 300 push-pull. What's the higher-end glass for Canon, Brett?
L series.
L series glass, so it's good glass. It's expensive glass.
They don't make those lens cheap.
No, they do not.
Jesus.
Adapter on top is for XLR, so we can hook up our shotgun for all the audio in front of us, and then the Hunter is always hooked up with a Lavalier
Wireless system.
Yeah.
Actually, they're right here next to me. These are Rodes.
Oh, you
They're
guys
really
use the
sleek.
Rode?
Yeah, these are inexpensive. The audio quality is pretty good. They're rechargeable, and they're really lightweight. And so this talks to this, essentially. And you can see on the camera on Chris's setup, there's a red cable there. And this actually plugs into that cable, and so it'll take the signal from the Hunter, relay it to that, and then right into the audio adapter on the top and then the camera. So you have two audio channels. That's one of the things that a lot of people overlook when they're getting into filming is audio. That's like half of the production.
The big, yeah.
And a lot of people
half the battle.
They ignore that. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, if you can nail audio, it really enhances the video, and it makes stuff a lot more watchable. Hold on a sec. So, oops, sorry. Actually, I have my wife calling me right now. So yeah, that's one of the things that is really important to try to nail down audio. And if you can just get like a shotgun mic, you don't have to have XLR inputs. You can have just a regular input into the camera body. But that's one thing that a lot of guys can make a lot of ground up if they really focus on their audio. Wind noise and trying to monitor levels and eliminate feedback, and just be aware of kind of how audio works. It's nice when we have that dual XLR inputs because we have two channels. So if one channel there's too much feedback or wind noise, or we have something, you're getting someone's voice,
right?
You can rely on one channel versus the other. If you have one channel, you're kind of stuck with it. So if the audio is junk,
right,
not much to do. And audio is extremely difficult to recreate.
Now those Rode mics, I think they're only like $200, so they're actually get affordable, and they sound great. I had the Rode Link kit. I actually just got rid of it, and I don't think I can tell any difference between that and the Rode Link kit that I bought was twice the price of these, or the ones he just showed you.
If you were gonna do like studio stuff or commercial stuff, there's definitely higher quality audio recording devices out there. But if you're running around in the woods, it's
hard to look at the price too.
Anything crazy, yeah.
This is a very expensive sport.
Oh, I know.
Well, when you get into filming, it is. Yeah. It really is.
This morning, Brett and I were both filming Jared and his son. So I was behind this camera, and Brett was actually using my R and kind of getting some close-up stuff, and I was kind of set back. But like if Brett's hunting and it's just me as the cameraman, and we don't have another guy to hold the second angle, Brett actually this is his it's a Sony RXO, and we use these as our second angle, and they're like little GoPros, and they shoot in 4K, and they're pretty much. You said you use Sony, Lance?
Huh?
You said you use Sony cameras.
Well, yeah, I just got the Sony Mark II.
So, like, the menus and everything, it's like the same exact thing on here.
Holy shit, that thing's tiny.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's probably smaller than a GoPro, right?
Yeah, definitely. No shit.
I think it is.
And it shoots good stuff.
Now, with that Canon adapter to that Sony S2, are you guys running autofocus, or are you guys just manual focusing the whole time?
I'm manual focusing.
Yeah.
I haven't really done a lot of autofocus stuff. On camera, I have a Sony lens, so it's native, and I think the autofocus is actually pretty clean. Brett was using it this morning.
Yeah, you can use it in some applications, but you just have to be careful and know when to use it. You can really mess up a lot of footage if you're using it when you shouldn't. So you just have to be aware. If it's like you're filming your subject and there's like nothing around them, they're like in a field or like in the open timber or whatever, and there's a lot of space. There's nothing in the foreground, and there's the background is set far back. You can get away with autofocus, but other than that, like I don't know that we ever film animals in autofocus. I don't ever. So, well, our setup doesn't autofocus actually. That Chris has there, so we're always using manual, and that's really important. Because it's you've seen it 1,000 times when someone's trying to film an autofocus and there's like a branch in between them and it's like focusing on the branch and it's like they're trying to get it to go in.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, zoom in, zoom out. Zoom in, zoom out.
Yeah.
Fishing for it.
Brutal. So
I think it looks more creative too. It looks more clean when you can roll your focus right into your object, and there's cool shots that you can get with using manual focus. Like I could be kind of like on a tree, like I did it this morning actually with you and Jared and Grady sitting up there. I racked the focus off the tree and came to you guys, and that's like a cool shot. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely got to dabble in that, doing manual focus more. But yeah,
what do you
learning process? Holy smokes.
For shots like that you just talked about? Are you, Brett? I know you talked about the filming Bible or whatever. But other than that, like, how do you guys come up with the shots? Is it just from the experience you've had, or is it like watching other videos? Is it just randomly going through and being like, "Hey, look, I need this shot"?
So I think there's the cool thing is with filming is it's almost like art. You can kind of do it however you want and have your own style. So we've kind of developed our style. We like to shoot really clean, pretty looking footage, but at the same time, we like to shoot stuff that's really raw. So we're always like, we don't do a ton of stage stuff. Like we do, some shots. We're like, hey, can you walk down that path again? Because that's really pretty, and like we'll use that as a B-roll or cutaway for at some point. But like when the actual hunt's going on, we try to get everything in the moment, and that's a challenge to get it in focus, exposure right, frame right, as it's happening. So you have to be really on it. So we try to shoot it as it happens. So it's almost like let the story play out and just film it as it goes. And you just, as a camera guy, you want to be aware of the shots that help tell that story.
Right.
When I'm, and Chris and I talked about this the other day, but when I'm talking or I'm filming something and I'm filming a hunter or whoever, and they're talking about something, I'm making a mental checklist of everything that they're talking about. And if I didn't already film it, I'm going to go back and film that. So, like, when we're talking about, hey, we, it was snowing this morning. It was really cold. Well, I'm going to try to get some shots of the snow and then, like, maybe some frost or some ice to show that it's cold, stuff like that. Yeah. So, you want to get a good, solid, interview as things happen and get good audio from the hunter telling their story. But then you want all the footage to back all that stuff up. Because the worst is when someone's talking to the camera for, like, 5 minutes straight. And there's no footage.
Same thing.
It just gets really monotonous and difficult to watch. I know Midwest Whitetail used to have a rule, and it was loose, but it was a guideline that like they would not roll footage more than 7 straight seconds of someone talking to the camera. They'd cut to something. So, and it really helps the story move along.
So audio's cutting through that, but they're like could jump to whatever scene or whatever.
So I mean, it's just a style. There's just so many different styles of doing it. There's like, I guess the two spectrums would be like Heartland Bowhunter, if you guys have watched their stuff. They do a lot of montage stuff, extremely pretty stuff. A lot of it's staged and they're taking a lot of time, but it flows really well. They have a lot of music and aren't using as much raw audio. But then you have stuff like the Hunting Public. And it's funny because those guys are literally cut from the same cloth. They just kind of went in different directions. A lot of it. So they started in more or less the same area, and those guys are really raw. They're not really focused on that stuff. They're focused on teaching, talking to the camera, shooting it as it happens, not worried about a bunch of cutaways, and just kind of trying to show the viewer it as raw as possible over the shoulder stuff. So, and both styles are really awesome, and people like, I like them both. I like to learn from them both. I think we're kind of in the middle, I'd say. But
I was just gonna say that. I just watched. I watched a couple videos. Obviously, when it's super short notice podcast, but like what I could, I was like, I want to go check out some stuff, and I think that's like you just nailed it. It's excellent. It's like a little bit of exactly what you said. Both scenarios there. It's not too, production made up, and it's more the
Not
raw.
scripted, yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's fucking perfect. So
Yeah, I think it's kind of really John Lewis who post produces all our stuff and has the company who basically produces these series
yeah,
for us. It's kind of his style too, and we've always worked well together because we kind of had the same mindset and saw it the same way. The other thing I would say is like really focus. You're telling a story is what you're doing, and whether you're telling the story as it happens or you have like a set where you're trying to direct the story in a certain direction, be aware of that. So you just want to tell the entire story and don't leave gaps. Like that's the biggest thing I see guys. It's like, they're doing one thing and then all of a sudden it's like they cut to like a week and a half later and it's a totally different thing. It's like, what just happened? And
now it's the
so,
rut.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can do that, but you just got to try to give some context and transition from one to the other. So think of creative ways to do that.
Right.
Sometimes stories take years to tell. So you're not going to, no one's going to sit there and watch 10 hours of a 4-year-long story, but,
Yeah.
Put some context and show what happened and tell people.
Yeah,
People like to hear
that's
the
tough,
story.
man. I didn't even think about that. I listened to a Wired to Hunt podcast and a history with that deer, but trying to film a history with a deer like that 4 years. Like, would you keep the footage on that SIM card for 4 years and make that into a story? That's
we
tough.
didn't even honestly. There isn't a lot of footage at all from years past of hunting that deer, even. But
no, but just like you're saying, I was just making that as an example. Like, if to try to do that, that's a long time.
Sure it is. And there's things you can do to catch it up. I mean, you can start anywhere in the story you want,
right?
But just try to give some backstory to catch people up, and then you just have to be aware. If people want to know what you're doing and where you're at and like how you got there. If they know that, it doesn't matter where you start. Just it's fine. But it's just I see a lot of stuff that's like you don't know what you're watching. It's tougher to relate to people if you don't know how they got there or what happened before or what the goal is. It's tough to follow the story. The more you can follow the story, people can relate and they stay interested in what you're doing.
Right.
That's a good point. I know we're wrapping up here on 45 minutes, so I know you guys got an early morning in the morning, so I guess we can jump into some turkey tactics if you guys want. What do you guys actually find different? What's different, I'd say turkey-wise, from the birds out in Ohio than the birds over here? Like, I know you're saying they were more weary out there. They're always looking.
I definitely think there's less birds. That's just me.
Yeah.
I mean, how many birds? So this morning we had 3 gobbling, few hens, and then we didn't see them till we actually moved. So I probably saw like 5 turkeys all day, and I mean, we put some ground on.
Yeah, that's a big one. These birds are just they're unpredictable. Like Chris was saying before, they'll roost on one ridge today, and then they'll be across the valley like a half mile away on another ridge the next day. And one day they'll fly down to the bottom from the limb. Next day they'll fly up onto the ridge. They're just like are really difficult.
Damn, that's frustrating.
You have to like catch them in the right mood, and I have definitely struggled there. The turkeys I've killed in Ohio are probably the ones that I feel most accomplished to kill, I guess you could say. And it's funny because literally I'm hunting private land that no one else is hunting.
Right. Yeah. So then it's not like they're getting smacked at every day.
And sometimes these farms, they haven't been hunted in like a year or two, but they're still far harder to kill than any bird in Pennsylvania or New York or New Hampshire or Vermont or Massachusetts, which is interesting. I think the biggest thing that when I first came out here and started turkey hunting, I drove through a public land area. It was a really big one, but it was right the day before the season, so they hadn't been pressured yet. And we were driving down this dirt road, and this longbeard walked into the dirt road, and I could see like 300 yards. And he walked in, and I'm like, "Oh, longbeard, look at that!" So he's like, "Look!" And just as soon as he walks in, he looks at the truck, and he takes off flying.
So he knows. He's like,
I'm like, "Oh, that's
son of a bitch! I think I might get shot from the truck one day."
I'm like, these turkeys are a little different. I mean, in New Hampshire, you can almost run them over.
Oh, run them over, yeah.
I will say
it's way different.
I will say when I was in high school, I had this little red Mazda, and me and my buddy Braden, we were hunting these birds, like this one field. We would go back to the same field like every day and just like look at them before the season. Well, I parked the car so many times there that when the season came, they saw my car. I swear to God, they would take off.
Yeah, no.
He knows. Yeah.
I pulled in too many times. But
That's
they're
awesome.
very, very wary. Like I said, they come in like looking like it's like they
Oh, yeah, the
right up
periscope
and they
and
look,
they're
and if
looking.
they don't see it, they're gone. And it's just you can get away with less more. You have to be more precise with your setups.
You guys are running decoys with the use?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Decoys, sometimes they don't react great to decoys. I mean, a lot of times they will, but they're more. I mean, decoys have to like look right. So there's just less margin for error, and you have to be like more on your game, I guess you could say.
Right.
So if you're hunting an area, say, well, like tomorrow you're in Ohio and you're hunting, with the less birds, do you find yourself using Jake or Tom decoys as much with a low populated area of birds, or
Yeah.
Well, I know,
did you just
like
will you
tomorrow-
just run the hen?
I know
It's so
tomorrow,
situational. It really is.
Jared's gonna want to run DSD half strut Jake over a
Okay.
bedded hen because we have 3 longbeards roosted tonight above us. So that's a good call.
That's a good move. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really is situational. When you're going in and you know what you're hunting, you can make a lot. Like you roosted a bird or a group of birds, you can make a determination. Just like watch the bird. Like for example, if there's a lone longbeard and there's like 4 jakes in the field or in the cut or whatever, and they're chasing the jakes around. That longbeard is chasing jakes around.
Right.
You know that he's an aggressive bird. He's a dominant bird. And he's not going to put up with anything for Jake. So put a Jake decoy out. But I've seen some situations where the Jakes are chasing him around. So if you put a Jake decoy out in that situation, he's not going to want to come into it because he thinks the rest of them are there. He doesn't want to
Right.
deal with
You
it.
don't want to get
So,
harassed.
so I wouldn't use a male decoy at all. Sometimes you get these groups of, 3+ longbeards, and they're going to be super aggressive. But you almost need a strutter decoy to get their attention because they're not going to take a Jake seriously. So in that situation, and I think Jared actually was talking about maybe using a strutter tomorrow, but like we'll run a full strut decoy, and you get some really aggressive, radical reactions in certain situations. So it really depends on the situation. If I'm just running and gunning, I'll bring decoys and I use them, and they work. But a lot of times, if you get a bird coming in, like especially in the timber, like
You're just gonna sit down, yeah.
You almost need it, and like I'll put them out, but like I've had some negative reactions from birds in the timber and decoys. It's almost like they pop up and see them, and they just don't.
Right, they just want to stay there. Yeah. Just want to stay there.
And
go.
really, if you can position yourself so that once the bird can see where he thinks the sound's coming from, he's already in gun range. You don't need a decoy because he's dead by the time he comes up over their eyes or around the corner or whatever. So it's situational.
What do you guys use for decoys?
I just run a single Avian X,
Hen.
just a feeder hen. But Ty has this one decoy I had growing up. Me and my father ended up getting a roadkill hen. I cut all the feathers off of it, just the wings and the tail. And I had the friggin' thing is pieced
Hold on
together,
1
all
second.
right?
I got this bitch laying right here.
So
I don't
we
use
had
it
a ball-
anymore. She's retired, but it
we
did it.
had a
It did it.
bobblehead decoy. That the head, you've seen those bobblehead decoys. Look pretty real. So I cut the head off of that crappy hen decoy that I put all the hen feathers on, and I stuck the bobblehead. That decoy has killed so many birds with youth hunters and everything. In the wings are just zip tied. The tail's in there, but wait, show them the head. The head's just kind of
It's a
just
bobblehead.
freaking stuck on there. But that bird that decoy has killed so many birds
She's
over 12 years.
she's not the prettiest thing.
I've never used the DSD. I've always used Avion X, but this morning I saw the DSD, and they're like
They look good.
thick. They're very
Yeah.
good. Very good.
The knock I'd have on them, obviously they're really expensive and they're
Yeah.
not super portable, but they look really good. And I've got some wild reactions from birds, just like they're completely fooled by them.
Running
when they
right
come
in.
They're like, this is a real bird. There's no question. It's not like, I don't know. I'm gonna maybe check it out. They're like all in. So it's pretty deep when that happens.
the flex tone decoys for a budget. Someone hunting on a budget. Those flex tone decoys. They look pretty decent. They look kind of similar to an AV&X. So I think you can get into them for $40.
And a lot of it just has to do with the bird's mood. Like,
yeah,
I mean, they'll run into a trash bag if they're fired up.
Right.
Right.
So,
That's
right.
true. Yeah.
it just really kind of depends on the bird. I think the biggest thing with decoys and any turkey hunting is just trying to read the bird and read the situation and know how to react. And like honestly, that probably comes mostly with experience and just doing it a lot. After you have that experience and you start to kind of read the bird and the situation, and you can be pretty effective at making the right choice, and they're pretty predictable, I would say. Although I say that maybe not in Ohio.
Yeah.
Here,
what's your favorite? So say New Hampshire. Is it your favorite hunt? Is it going to be off the roost, trying to roost a bird in the nighttime and set up on them in the morning, or wait till that like midday, or not midday because you don't hunt until noon, but mid-morning hunt?
I have become so it's interesting. I can hunt for like an hour or two almost every day of the season before work. So most of the time I have just the roost hunt.
Okay.
So I'm trying to. I've got I've got pretty good at like figuring out how to nail that. Like
shoot them right off the roost.
So when I kill and I take a lot of people, we film a lot of people. We kill so many birds off the roost that I'm almost like I don't really like it as much. And one of the worst things is like I get. Well, it's a good thing because it's effective. I get really tight to birds, but like you're like sitting there for 45 minutes. Like,
I don't move. You can see them. Yeah.
So uncomfortable.
Shut up.
Like, oh. So like it's almost not as fun. I mean, it's effective. But I think I like running a gun better and like killing a bird at 11 o'clock, coming and gobbling.
No, I think that's awesome too.
That's probably what I like the best.
Hunt. I'll take the roost hunt.
The roost hunt?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean. Last year, there were a few times where we got on like birds where it was just toms like running through the field, and I mean, they're going to answer. They're looking. They're in search. So, I mean, I guess that's pretty fun, that midday stuff. But I'll take the roost. I'll take the roost.
It's all fun though. It really is.
Midday's frustrating. Middays, it's like
until you find the right
sometimes.
One.
Yeah.
I got this one spot that I hunt pretty much every year. It's a tree farm, and it's actually very slow this year. When I get back to New Hampshire in a few days, or on Wednesday, I'll check it out to see if it's ramping up. I kind of don't think it's going to be because...
Yeah, just let me know and I'll be there.
Yeah, send me those gyps numbers.
There's enough birds for everyone. There usually is. But in the mornings, man, they roost up on the hill and they'll fly down into this tree farm. It's like you're in the middle of a war zone.
Oh, really?
Like they're flying down, dude. They're like flying over our heads. Like my buddy was filming me last year, and he had his headphones in, and he's monitoring the audio, right? So when you're monitoring the audio, it sounds like it's a lot closer.
Oh yeah, it does,
everything's getting so like amplified in there.
Right.
He's like, dude, like I felt like they were like right on top of me, and like they were flying down all over us. There was Jake's beating up the decoys. The toms are coming in. But
it's like Jurassic Park up in that bitch.
Yeah, no, that's the best spot.
That's awesome.
I love it.
All right, we're at 55 minutes. What projects are you guys working on right now? And if you can give out any information or how to follow you guys, maybe.
Yeah, I think right now we're filming for, like I said, that Mossberg series. So the Mossberg series is actually a semi-live series. We do a lot of that, so that comes out, relatively quickly after we shoot it.
Right.
So the first 2 episodes of the season are out now. They're on Mossberg's YouTube. I think that's the best place to find it right now. But they'll continue to be released as the season progresses. So that's usually like about a week turnaround time. So what you're watching this week will have happened last week. And as the season ramps up more and more, it may even be faster than that. So you could watch a hunt from like on Saturday on a Monday.
Okay.
Which is kind of neat to see. So that gives people some kind of relevant information, I guess.
Absolutely.
That they know. So I think it's pretty neat.
You guys push out some product then.
And that's called
push it up
Yeah.
pretty quick.
Yeah, John Lewis, like I said, who work with at Cold Front Creative, is really good at that. That's his kind of his niche. He does. So I've worked on several shows for Cabela's, and he has a show that he does called Cabela's Northern Flights, a waterfowl show, and he's been doing that for, I think, 5 years now, maybe longer. But it's all semi-live, so it's just as soon as it happens during the season, it's turned around and it's released. So the turkey content will be like this spring. The show's called Spring Collective. It's on Mossberg's YouTube channel. That's the best place to find it right now. We're still trying to figure out the best way to get it out. We kind of threw it together last minute this year.
Yeah.
So like I said, you're going to see, I think this is the last, probably the last hunt we'll have outside of the Northeast, but there'll be New York, PA, Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. Most of the season will be in those states in the Northeast. And that will run probably into June when, the seasons are pretty much ending. And then I've already filmed the first season of the deer series I had mentioned, but that's for Realtree. That'll be on Realtree 365, which is their kind of digital media app. We're just wrapping production is it's still undergoing. The field production's done. We filmed it all last season.
Nice.
And Chris was one of the main instrumental camera guys on that project. So those are the two things right now that we're working on. I don't think, Chris, you got anything that I don't know about?
I just can't wait for everyone to see that deer series. It's truly amazing. It's gonna be cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Working.
So hopefully we can get that out. Hopefully we can get that out. It's gonna probably be July or August before it comes out, so we have some time yet before people can look for it. But I think if you follow me, Chris, on social media, you'll be able to find it, and I think Realtree should do a pretty good job of marketing and pushing it, so you see it anyway. But
absolutely,
best place to follow me is on Instagram, and that's at BrettJoy22, and Chris probably the same, but not the same handle.
CDame96.
Say it
CDAME96.
Alrighty. We'll post it in the notes anyways.
Cool.
But
good.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Short notice.
Yeah, guys,
I know you guys got an early fucking day tomorrow, so I appreciate everything. That's huge.
You don't want to. You guys don't want to talk to a bunch of amateurs, right?
We can talk.
What were your thoughts coming into doing the podcast with just some random person or random people?
I mean, I like to talk hunting, so if people are willing to talk and want to hear what we have to say and trade information, I think it's neat. I mean, I could talk about it all day. I've done a few podcasts, and I enjoy them. It's good to talk hunting, and it's good to. I think the biggest thing is just is important for people to hear different people's perspectives on things and how they may do things differently. Because I think we tend to be in our own bubble and think that things are our reality is, or the reality is just our reality. And it's nice to get different perspectives on things and see how different people do it.
And then that's kind of where me and Ty and Nick are going with this podcast thing. It's just like we just call up random people that hunt and just see everyone has.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
My name's Tyler.
You want to talk hunting? But,
one of the things I don't like to see is some people have an attitude that like the way that I do things and that I hunt and that I interact with the natural world is the only way and the right way to do it. And I just really I don't have much patience for that. As long as you're doing things legally and ethically to an extent, although ethics are kind of something that's, some people have different ethics, right? I think there's some things that are definitely no-nos that 99% of people are going to think are unethical, but then there's a lot of gray areas. But more or less, as long as you're doing things legally and you're enjoying what you're doing and you're getting out of it what you want to get out of it and what you want it to be, I think that, you should be celebrated for what you're doing. And I just don't like to see people like bashing. I mean, there's like, bow hunters versus gun hunters and turkey hunting, there's decoys versus no decoys, and private land versus public land, and this, meat hunters versus trophy. It's like, man,
it goes on and on and on.
It's just really tiring sometimes to listen to that stuff. And it's like, hey, open your eyes. People are doing this for different reasons and get enjoyment out of different aspects of it. And just because this is the way that you want to do it and that you've always grown up doing it. Doesn't mean that that's the only way. And I think probably because I'm more of a self-taught hunter and didn't grow up with anything, I kind of was like a blank slate and just decided to go in whatever direction I wanted to. I didn't really have any influences to push me in any particular direction. I think I'm lucky because I've been able to have that perspective, and I've also traveled a lot, all over the place and hunted in many different places and seen different styles that, like, people really, really have issues with, hunting over like a feeder in Texas.
Right.
And personally, that's not my favorite way to hunt, but that's the way that they hunt, and that's what they do, and there's nothing wrong with that.
They get it done. They get it done.
Yeah. So I think that's the biggest thing is like that I like to see from podcasts. It's just different people's perspectives, and just try to listen, and maybe you'll learn something. And even if you don't like what they're saying, or you don't like their style of hunting or what they're doing, that doesn't mean that they're doing anything any less than anybody else. So.
Such a good speaker, Brett. Such a good speaker.
You guys give shit. You guys give each other shit the whole time, huh?
Oh, it's bad. Poor Chris.
Yeah. Hey, he's got a good sense of humor like myself, so it worked out.
Excellent.
Awesome, guys. We appreciate it.
I had a whole, maybe after deer season or before deer season or whatever, but I had a whole thing of notes that I wanted to get to, and I didn't even really touch it just because.
What time is it? If you guys, I got a little bit of time here. We don't, I call this the month of no sleep. Actually, I shouldn't say I do. Jake Bennett, who's a really good turkey. He's actually on our deer series with us and sometimes on the turkey series, but he's a really good hunter in mass. And he calls, this is like the month of no sleep.
Yeah, you're right.
So like by June, I'm like wide awake at like 3:30 a.m. I'm like, let's go. And it's like, no, you can sleep for like 2 or 3 more hours, man. Like just chill. So I'm used to it. But if you guys have anything quickly you want to touch on, I don't mind. I don't know what you care. We got the nap.
Chris,
I don't care.
If there's anything you were wanting to touch on and you didn't get to.
No, I had a bunch of deer shit written down, and I don't want to necessarily get into deer hunting right now because I know it's turkey season.
Yeah, you guys are pretty.
Can I hit you with a couple quick questions, and then we can be done with this because I know it's late. What is your favorite state to either hunt or film in?
You can go first, Chris.
All right. That's a hard question because so I've killed my biggest buck ever in New Hampshire, and I missed a 170 in Ohio last year, but
Jesus.
It doesn't.
Oh my God!
Absolute monster. It was
still replaying it in your head.
Brett likes to joke around about it. By the time the arrow got to him, he was in a different county. So
I don't know if he technically missed it. It's kind of like.
Was it a poke?
Yeah, it was a poke up 50 yards.
It was a flight.
Yeah, it's a poke. That's a poke for me.
But I don't think there's any connection. Like killing a big mature deer in New Hampshire is totally different than coming out here and killing a 5.5.
For sure. Yeah.
In Ohio. I don't know. Brett can definitely touch on this. He's killed a lot more deer than I ever have, but it's so much more rewarding here, for sure. 100%.
Oh, the work you put in around here is nuts.
Oh, he's talking about Ohio.
And you might not see that deer for, years.
Right.
Yeah. You might never see him. You might never kill him. You might die of old age.
It's funny. If you would ask me this question a few years back, I definitely would have a different answer. It's like I started hunting in New Hampshire, and I had no success when I started. Started to get a little more success, and then that's kind of why I wanted to hunt Ohio more because it was. I don't want to say it's easier, but it's easier.
Success rate is.
Higher, it's just there's more
obviously.
opportunity. There's bigger deer. Yeah. It's just there's more. It's just the way that it is. But
it's crazy.
I really think. I mean, at this point, I think I have the same answer as Chris. It really is New Hampshire. Like I just love the challenge of hunting in New Hampshire, and it's so much more rewarding. There's just it's rewarding everywhere, but there's just something different about killing a deer in New Hampshire, big deer in New Hampshire. It's like such a rare thing to do, and it's such an accomplishment. And when you pull it off, it's just like, and if you're not from the area, it's kind of it's difficult to understand even what it takes to do it. And I think for filming, it's my favorite as well because I like to try to tell the story of hunting in New Hampshire, whether it's for deer or turkeys, and you don't see a lot of stuff out there.
No, no, that's
New
what I thought.
Hampshire.
This was
No.
great. Like, this is like
So-
what you
no,
guys are
so-
doing is awesome because
and that's kind of why I'm motivated to do what we're doing now more than I ever have been, just because I want to show people what it's like around here, and not just maybe the deer, but the culture and what goes into it, and what what it's like, and because a lot of people from other parts of the country just have no idea, and so I'm motivated to tell stories in New England and in New Hampshire that haven't been told. And I'm motivated to kill deer in New Hampshire that are maybe the hardest in the country. Between
Absolutely.
Maine and New Hampshire and Vermont, I don't think you can find a harder area to kill a mature animal. So, if you asked me this 5 years ago, I might have said Iowa or Canada or Ohio or whatever. But I think now it's kind of come full circle, and I'm really appreciating, my home state for what it is and the opportunity. People say like Vermonters are some of the best hunters in the country, and like they'll kill deer anywhere. It's because they have the hardest deer to hunt in the country. So like if you can kill a deer, and those guys can kill a deer in Vermont, they can go anywhere in the world and be successful at
Right.
anything. So it's true. I believe in that. So it's cool because you have a really good foundation if you grow up hunting here.
No,
And you
you're
can-
exactly
struggle-
right.
the
You can
struggle's real.
bow hunt and you're bow
Yeah.
hunting. You can before the rut kind of still hunt in muzzleloader season, and then once snow hits, you can jump to tracking and
I
mess
think
up
we
a whole lot
probably
of
have
stuff.
some of those versatile hunters in the country too.
Yeah,
Because there's so much to do, and it's a diverse region of the country. You go from like mountains to huge woods to suburban stuff to some farmland. So a lot of it's packed into a little area.
absolutely.
Have you filmed tracking at all?
Yep, I think we pay
How
attention.
is that?
Pay
That's
attention to the
hard,
series.
isn't that?
It's really hard.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Brett. You said pay attention to what? Sorry. I didn't
Yeah,
mean to cut you off.
the series Real Treat Sea Bucks that's coming out. We have a couple hunts that were retracked, and they're definitely unique. They're definitely a challenge. It's a lot easier to sit in a tree stand with a camera arm. It's a lot more of a controlled environment, a lot more predictable. Tracking is a whole different thing. Unfortunately, it makes for sometimes less dramatic and pretty footage, but it's super real. And
Yeah.
it happens
Yeah.
when it
Oh, yeah.
happens, and you can't really. It is what it is. So, but it's pretty cool. So yeah, I think that's one of the cool things about our series too. Is I think we do a fairly good job of showing the diverse types of hunting in New England. And that's kind of what we aim to do. So we have a lot of big wood stuff. We have swamp stuff. We have some coastal stuff, suburban stuff, and then some mountain stuff too. We have some hunting on food plots, bow hunting on private land. We have, and then we have tracking in the big woods too. So we have kind of something there for everyone, and want to try to show
Yeah,
everyone.
huge variety.
Yeah. So
When we went to Brett and I went to Alberta this past September, when you just asked me that question, like, what's your favorite state to hunt deer? I guess I was just thinking where I've hunted,
right.
and it's Ohio and the Northeast. But Alberta is like crazy. We were in
Wild.
there. It was September. We were there, and it was crazy. It was
that's definitely a close second for me to hunt deer.
Yeah.
It's something, I don't know, but what it is about there. It's just the people are really nice. It's really a relaxing area to hunt, and it's just a beautiful, different environment. And the deer are just,
Huge.
I mean, it's just mind blowing. Some of the deer that are up there and that are just hanging out, just in the far north, not getting messed with. And
Yeah,
you're like, what the
that's-
heck's
I
going
think
on
that's
up
on
here?
my hit list, man. I'd love to.
Oh,
Canada.
Up there,
Yeah.
yeah. That's awesome.
And I've been lucky enough to be up. I've been up there 3 different times. I haven't killed a buck yet, but I will keep going. And I don't honestly. It's almost like I don't care if I do care, but I'm fine if I don't kill one. I
No, it's
just
still
like
always a good time. Yeah.
being
sure.
around those animals.
All right, I got favorite. All right, so you touched on the turkey. I was gonna say your favorite times to hunt, mostly during the year. But with turkey, you touched on either off the roost or mid morning or whatever.
Yeah.
But your favorite times to hunt deer, and you can't pick the first and second week in November.
I wouldn't pick either of those weeks. So.
All right. Well, I know
Really?
I'm a tracker, so I know I wouldn't either. So I want to hear what you had to say.
My favorite. So the first week of archery season in New Hampshire is a really good opportunity but it can be hit or miss. If you're on a deer that's doing the same thing he was all summer, and you find his pocket, you can be extremely successful in killing that deer. But if you're not in that pocket,
Thank you.
not in that
Yeah.
in that pocket, you might as well be. I mean,
Throw 'em
don't,
down.
okay. So I gotta preface this. Everything I'm saying, I focus on hunting mature deer. So like, I don't want someone that's not in.
No.
to
Yeah,
take
no,
this and,
that's
like,
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, to be like, well, what do you mean I'm not in the game? It's like, no, this is what through the lens of hunting a mature animal.
I'm asking you anyway, so.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say the first week. That's definitely not my favorite time, but that's a really good opportunity. It's probably a second, but my favorite time is the third week in November. Actually, I have run a lot of cameras for a lot of years and observed a lot of behavior. And I think the best time to kill a really big old deer in New Hampshire is the third week in November, from November 15th through 25th. Go ahead.
Can you tell them what you told me last year about the does and the peak? Because I thought that was very interesting.
So this is not anything. I kind of compiled some of the data and interpreted a different way to serve, I guess, hunters better. But the head of the Vermont deer program, and right now I'm forgetting his name, and I feel bad because he sent me his thesis at UNH. I can't remember his name right now. I should remember it, but I don't. He did a senior thesis. He did a study in New Hampshire at UNH, and he basically, what he did was he took roadkill does from all over New Hampshire from, I think, like February through April, and you can measure the size of the fetus on pregnant does and figure out when the conception date was, more or less within a few days. And I think they had like a sample size of 250 or something like that. So not huge, but enough to
That's a good amount.
Pretty clear data and pretty clear message. So he actually sent me his study and the raw data, and I would say that more does, or the peak estrus in New Hampshire is November 19th, and a lot of people think it's a little earlier than that.
Some good information right there.
Yeah. So, and I actually correlated that to a bunch of trail camera data that was probably had over 100 cameras running for 5+ years in New Hampshire.
Wow.
And they line up like almost exact. It was really like, holy smokes, this is something here. So yeah, that I would say right around there is my favorite date. A lot of guys like the early time frame. That can be great too. Anytime in November can be great.
Right.
But if I'm looking to nail down days, like I'm sitting all day from like dark to dark from like November 15th, 16th, 17th to the 23rd. If I'm like in a good spot and I think I have an opportunity to big deer, that's when I think I can kill them. So that's my favorite time. That third week is actually what I would take.
How about you, Chris?
Sorry, what was the question? I'm like totally spitting.
It was your favorite time, like calendar week or month to hunt deer, or you can do film, whatever you want to do.
If I'm hunting,
what's the most active? How about that? Like what month or what week of the month is most active for you, filming wise?
So filming wise, I think we filmed from the beginning of the season to the end. You know, I was filming a few different guys, but everyone was just trying to kill at different times. But from a hunting aspect,
yeah, what was the most active, like deer wise, on film?
Probably November.
Yeah.
I filmed with Brett a lot during November, and after learning all that stuff, it's from I would say even like the 10th to the 25th. If you could sit those 15 days in a great spot in New Hampshire, you would kill a big deer, I think, every year. If you had time. And that's a big thing. A lot of people don't have time.
Yeah. We got kids, day job.
If you can sit out there and stick it out and sit all day long for 15 days straight, that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
I think you would kill a great deer every year if you were on a great deer.
Yeah.
And that can be hard to find.
Yeah. I'd say the only other thing I'd say outside of those days during November that I like and I've kind of narrowed down, other than that, my favorite day to hunt is a cold front.
Any cold front?
Pretty simple. Cold front. That's the biggest thing. Like outside of the rut, I want to hunt cold front. It's
Okay.
like there's no question about that, and that could happen in September or it could happen.
Are you hunting like
in
days
December.
before or a day before the cold front, or wait for the actual cold snap to happen?
Usually the cold snap. Of course, the fronts can hit at different times in the day, so you kind of have to, look at when it's hitting and, make a decision. But usually usually the day when the front hits is good. Sometimes the day after it's hit can be really good too. But if you can hunt like the day before, the day of, and the day after, that's the best, right?
That's
But
the-
if I
yeah,
had to pick
right.
one,
Right,
it would
right.
be the day that it hits, for sure.
All right. Last one. You got something, Lance?
Wait, no, Chris was going to say something.
Oh, Chris,
If
go
I were to
ahead.
hunt Alberta, I would want to go back the opening day, and that's September 1st. I would want to see that again. I have no clue what the rut looks like there, but
Opening
hunt
day.
that
It was wild, huh?
September?
Yep.
September 1st.
Really?
Holy shit.
Yeah, we were there when they were in velvet still. It was pretty. We saw some good deer.
Every
Yeah.
day saw a good deer.
Yeah.
was-
It also had to do with the area that we're hunting was just crazy, unbelievable. And I've hunted a lot of places. I've hunted all over the Midwest and the Northeast. But I would say if I could travel to hunt anywhere in the world for whitetails, it would definitely be Alberta.
Oh, that's awesome.
Dude, Canada's on the bucket list.
Yeah, we gotta
It's been
go.
on the bucket list.
I know what
It's
I'm doing
worth
with
it.
my stimulus check. All right, so last one. Chris, your most memorable hunt. It could be any time, from a kid to now. What was your most memorable hunt?
Well, I think I know what that is. Back in 2017, I was after a buck. I called any 8. I'll send you guys some pictures. And I ended up walking up on the mountain one day with my bow, and I came across his tracks in a spot where I know that these bucks are coming up off the ridge and then coming up into this big field. And at first, I wasn't following him because I think it's pretty stupid to track a deer with a bow. And most people,
Yeah,
they
it's
agree. But whatever it was, I went and I pulled my cards, and I'm going by the camera, which was weird because his tracks went right by it. And I got on these tracks and went for about 100 yards, and he was bedded right there. And he was like looking from me, and I could see, we call him because he was just a nice mainframe 8. He scored 140 and an eighth. And I could see him, and I said to myself, that's him, that's any 8. And I got to 30 yards, and I drew back on him, and some people might not agree with this, but I shot him right in the head because it was the only opportunity I had. And I can remember he lifted his head, and then it dropped, and I was like, everything was just crazy.
Disbelief.
My dad, I called Braden, I called Brett.
You
and,
tracked it. So were you tracking?
No.
Were you
I was just
stalking?
I was gonna. I was tracking. I stalked up on him, but I was just going up there to check my trail cameras, and that's really all I was going up there to do that
Holy
day.
shit!
And that'll be something that I never forget.
Wow, that's awesome.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, definitely send us some pictures of that. That's incredible.
That buck that I sent you, that's him.
Oh, really?
Yes,
okay.
that's him.
Dude, that's a
Yep.
pig.
Yeah. Yeah.
That deer's
Awesome.
a pig. I'll
That's
show you
my
the
biggest
pictures
buck
right
I've ever
after.
shot.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
Brett's got
I don't. Yeah, it's so hard for me to. So it's funny. I would say that my favorite part about turkey season is the memories I make with people that I hunt with, because it's more of a social sport. I'm
yeah.
always hunting with buddies, and there's been so many because turkeys are so fun to hunt all over the place. And every year you make new memories and meet new people and get to hunt with new people and experience new stuff. So I really love turkey season for that. And as far as memories for deer hunting, I mean, my first deer was really special. My first big deer is really special. But really, anytime you get to share a moment in time with a big, 5-6 year old, New Hampshire buck, like when you encounter him that you've been after, that's really like a crazy moment. And I've been fortunate enough to do it a few times over the years. And I don't know that I can pick any one because they're such special animals. And I feel like if I picked one, that'd be, you know, slighting the rest. But
Right.
it's, I mean, I had a great one this past season that was just unbelievable. But then even, like I said, the first one I shot, I remember probably, I'd say the moment that actually changed me as a hunter was when I shot that first big deer in New Hampshire. And I was like, I'd shot a bunch of, you know, smaller deer and does and whatever, and I liked it. But I was like, man, I really want to shoot a big one. And so I like kind of made the decision that I was going to pass other deer and really target a big one because I just want to shoot a big one for once. I've never done it.
Right.
And I finally did. I was disciplined throughout most of the year, and I did shoot a really good. It was a 7-year-old buck. He was like 200 pounds and scored right at, I think, 130 or just shy. And I remember I walked up on him. I watched him drop, shot him with a muzzleloader on November 7th. And I walked up on him, and I just was like staring at this animal laying down in front of me. And I was like, just didn't know what to do. I was speechless, just looking at this thing. And I was just like, this is a different animal than, you know, a 2-year-old buck or a doe or like, I'm like, this is incredible. I'm just staring at it. For like 5 minutes, I just was like speechless. I was like, oh my God, look at this animal. And that was the moment I was like, that's all I want to do. Other than hunt turkeys. Like, I just want to
do that.
That's all I want to do. And so that was probably, I guess, the most special moment of my deer hunting, I guess you could say, career, is just the realization and like the epiphany I had walking up on the animal. It's just like, they're such fascinating, special animals when they get to be that old and survive that many winters and that many seasons of hunters and coyotes and all that stuff. So I think that moment right there, and it was not because it was like my biggest deer or whatever. It was just like, that was the moment that like kind of changed me as a hunter and made me just like obsessed with like learning about big deer and chasing big deer and following them.
I can't wait for it to happen to me.
It'll happen.
Any of us.
Put your time in. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's time spent in the field learning.
We've done all
trying.
right, but not a 6.5 or 5.5-year-old. So we're gonna give her hell this season, though.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a blast.
It's all about putting the time in.
That's it.
If you put it in, it will happen for you eventually.
All right.
Awesome, guys. I know a big thing. Me and Ty have been talking about this, and we kind of got somewhat of game plan until all this COVID-19 garbage came to us. But we definitely wanted to, after all this stuff clears, get everyone together. You know, a bunch of guys we had on the podcast, and hook up the recorders and the mics, and have a cookout, and get everyone together and just shoot the shit about hunting.
Everybody can come onto a mic and talk some shit, like one at you know, 5 minutes at a time. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, we'll have 6 mics hooked up, so it'll be fun.
I think you need like if you do that, you're gonna need like someone that's like the designated, you know, you have a designated driver, like a designated like podcast, so that it keeps everybody in line. Pretty sloppy, pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, you should have seen me and my uncle one time. We went out there in July.
But yeah, if you guys would come over, we'd love to have you guys.
Yeah, sure.
So,
let us know, and we'll see if we can make it happen.
Yeah, I know this year's kind of weird, so it's.
Yeah, I probably won't be coming over anytime soon. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I don't blame you.
You're from Boston, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely don't want me here.
No.
All right, guys. We appreciate everything, and good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, good
Thanks,
luck.
Thanks for having us on.
Stay safe.
Yeah, sweet guys.
You
Stay
guys
safe,
ever
guys.
have any questions, just message me.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I will.
absolutely.
Or anything.
I would love to get with you guys, or even Chris. I know if you ever come up to Guilford, whatever, we can go shoot some photos somewhere or something. It don't matter. I'm game for any of it. So,
Sure.
Sweet deal, guys.
All right.
Cool.
Hey,
appreciate it.
Take care.
We'll
Thanks,
see you.
guys. See you guys.
Yeah, baby, when we're together, it's like Vegas times 3. But in the morning, I'll know better, 'cause you're so bad for me. Just like a sip of wine, leaves me to drink. You're my gateway drug, I'm starting to think it's gonna take much more than just 12 steps. So call Betty Ford, call Dr. Drew, save me a bed, cause in a month or two I wanna quit you, girl, just not yet. Yeah, baby, when we're together, you're the only drug I need. But in the morning I'll know better, cause you're so bad for me. Barreling down the road past these city lights, you got your hands on the wheel, a look in your eye. I ask myself, is it time to slow down? But the night's still young, we're full of gas, credit cards in my pocket with some limit left, and we got friends in the next town. Yeah, baby, when we're together, it's like Vegas times 3. But in the morning I'll know better, cause you're so bad for me. Yeah, oh baby, when we're together, it's like Vegas times 3. But in the morning I'll know better, cause you're so bad for me. Oh, cause you're so bad for me. Cause you're so bad for me. So bad for me.